because they're going to be the council meeting tonight, and they are.
Hey everybody, thanks for being with us. We're going to get started in just a minute. Should we come back in the middle?
But it's not for sure that they won't vote.
Shall we get started?
The mayor.
She's going to get us going with our class.
Yeah, we're on. I would have said but I did say.
With the mayor.
Yes, I read copies.
Okay, yeah.
Came in and Lloyd.
Gals, would you like to come sit on the front?
If we were asking, they said there is
They'd like to have you fill in the front.
the understanding there was going to be safe for you. So all these
Come last week. I almost invited myself. I got an invitation, but I would have invited myself if I hadn't been.
There are discussions with him.
New things. All right.
Yeah.
And she turned and looked at us.
So you get to see that, right?
Oh,
I do. Okay. I wanted to.
There's a camera.
You can. Oh, okay. You're so nice to have you. Well, I wanted to welcome you to my home tonight. Oh, we got someone else. Okay, we ought to wait just a second. This is such a nice turnout, and I appreciate everyone coming so much. I just love these two gals. They have made such a big difference in my life, and I just think that they're wonderful. Let's see who this is. Oh, Shelley. Hi, Shelley. Okay, come on.
You have to go up front, Shelley.
You want us to
We would love you to. Can you tell who got here first?
I can see my
I invited her to sit.
just so we can hear you good. Oh, it's so nice to have you.
And we'll introduce everybody.
All right, it's so nice to have you here. 7 months ago, I went to a party at Denise's like this, and this is where I had the opportunity to meet Christine and Cynthia for the first time. Ever since I got married, I weighed probably 145 pounds when I got married, and then after that, I got up there quite heavy. I went through my life weighing about 225 pounds, and I wasn't very comfortable with myself, and I had a lot of inflammation. I've had a lot of arthritis. I had a lot of pain in my body. At one time, I even was riding a Jazzy motor scooter to get around because I could not stand to be on my feet for very long. And once I went to Denise's house, heard their program, I thought, I'm going to try this. And it was the best thing I have done. It's just made such a big difference in my life. I started eating more naturally. They're such good coaches, and tried their program and ate what they encouraged me to eat, exercised, and did everything I could to be more successful. And it wasn't but a couple of weeks before I started laying in bed, and I felt my body, just losing weight. I just thought, what's this thing I'm feeling? I've never felt it before. And it was a wonderful feeling just to have this happen. And so I got very involved in this program, and they have such a wonderful program for wellness of body, mind, and spirit. And I used to not be able to walk very far. This last summer, just about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I went on trek, and I thought, me go on trek. And I was walking 5 or 6 miles a day. Wow. I'd never walked that far before. And so I'm even mowing my lawn. I haven't helped with that for over 20 years. And so Ralph edges the lawn. I said, I'm right there by Ralph. He works so hard. He's so thorough with everything that I get out and work side by side. I think it's improved our marriage. We're much happier. And I'm just thankful I'm a firm believer of this program. And I'm glad that you're here. I feel honored to have him here in my home. Now, I wanted to tell you about Christine. They were wonderful health coaches. And Christine is going to be our first guest speaker. And her name's Christine Bentley. And she is a master herbalist and loves teaching about mental and physical health at health food stores, churches, emergency preparedness, seminars, and homes. And she and her husband, Tom, are the children of 10 people, if you can imagine that. 10 children. I'm so jealous of Denise and her posterity. She has a wonderful family. But Christine has helped hundreds of people regain health and strength, and even with chronic conditions. And so I'm going to turn the time over to Christine to talk to us first.
Thank you. Don't her eyes just shine? It's so fun to see that energy and that vibrance and vitality and just excitement for life again. It's so fun to see the transformation. And I
feel like I'm the Energizer Bunny. I just don't stop.
She feels like the Energizer Bunny. And it's so fun to kind of see a before and after picture, just right here, convenient to see, even just in your face and that light, just energy vibrating from you. It's really fun to see.
The picture was a year ago.
It's wonderful, and thanks for sharing your story. It really gives people silent permission to make adjustments and changes and to keep seeking for energy, even when we're, in our more experienced years, shall we say. It's never too late. And that's similar to what my experience was. I feel like I had more energy in my 40s than in my 30s when I'm supposed to be in my prime. And how exciting to know that there's hope and ways to give ourselves a boost and to come in alignment with our mind and our physical matter to be working together. So I love to share this information. Would that be okay with you if I shared a little bit about my background and why I'm doing this? How I got here? Okay, thank you. It's kind of odd that we will take time out of our busy lives. You heard that I have 10 children at home, and it gets busy, but we care so much and we're so passionate about it that we love to come and do these free classes. So my experience started really when I was a little child, and I had suffered from chronic debilitating ear infections. And I remember writhing in my bed even through my teenage years, and it would develop each year into congestion where I'd lose my voice, and every time I'd go through the same process. And I was so frustrated, and I think on a subconscious level, I thought I was yearning for a better way. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a way to take care of this or even prevent. And so then when I later got married, what did my first baby have? Chronic, debilitating ear infections. And now I can laugh, but at the time, I felt like I was going crazy. I was very sleep deprived. I was bitter and angry. I thought, who kept this motherhood such a secret? I thought it must have been a secret or nobody would dare have babies. If nobody talks about this because it's so hard. And the poor child, he was just in pain. And after 6 rounds of antibiotics, and it wasn't resolving it, and his good immune system had been destroyed. So he was getting every sickness that came along, and I just thought there was no hope for a normal conversation with another adult, and I would slide in and out of depression and pity partying, and it wasn't a good place. So I was kind of forced, to keep pursuing this approach that wasn't really effective, or try a new way. And so that kind of is what launched me into this avenue that I never would have went on if I didn't have those trials. So maybe our trials can become our blessing. So just kind of fast forwarding into I mentioned my 30s, I was so sluggish. I had no energy. It was all I could do to cook a meal for the family. And then I'd be laying out on the couch for the rest of the night. Like, I can't clean up. Go to your game? What? Help you with homework? You have scouts? I just couldn't do it. I was so weak and lethargic. So I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes. And that was the next fire that I needed. So I knew that natural methods were really effective and helpful for my family. But I needed to learn that the food that we're consuming on a day-to-day basis, every snack, every meal, every day, was contributing to that. And that's why we were getting sick so often. And it was so hard to overcome because we were clogged. So that's kind of a summary of my experience through my early children and then with applying the foods. And so when I look back, sometimes when we're making changes, they're imperceptible and you don't notice. But if you take the time to reflect and look back, you can give yourself credit and look for the good that you've done. And when I do that in my life, I think of all those nights that we would run in the middle of the night to Instacare, or the whole family would be up because there was a kid crying and we didn't know what to do. And fast forward to the self-confidence and the calm and the proactive things that we could apply to our family, the peace of mind and the money that it saved and the time. Time is money, right? So it's really been a wonderful journey that I like to share. So today we're going to share some tips with you that you can take home to your families and start right now. And we're going to have another section working with how our emotions work in physically. So first of all, I'd like to bring your attention to this picture. I'll hold that up here. Can you tell what that is?
I think it's something's better in your eyes.
Oh, thanks.
Oh.
Yeah, I've been thinking
No,
this.
it's the chandelier.
Oh, maybe it's the chandelier.
The chandelier through.
So after we try the chandelier, should we try this again? We'll see.
Maybe you could do the chandelier and open that.
Okay.
Which one is it, Martha?
It's the
Okay.
It's good.
Oh, good. Now I'm going to test this and you tell me what you think. Is this still just too much?
You could just tip it up. There, that's
Yeah?
great.
All right. Okay, so what can you pick out in this picture? Can you tell what we're showing here?
Apple.
It is an apple. And it's got, when I was teaching an emergency preparedness seminar, one of my favorite comments, a little girl came up and said, "Why is that apple hairy?" It's a great question. So it's Kirlian photography, and it can capture the energy coming off of any object. So there is real life and energy coming from this fruit. And they've done this test on many different objects and fruits, some dehydrated, some organic, some inorganic, and so it varies with the amount of energy and light coming from it. But it's a great visual to remember that what we choose to consume and put inside our body is going to have an effect on it, for the good or the bad. And by the way, there were pictures, you can Google this, it's Kirlian, Kirlian, Kirlian photography. You can see even like a picture of a hamburger, and it's got the arch. You can tell it's very dark and dense. And sometimes in the middle of that picture, there are little beams of light coming out the sides. Can you guess what that might be?
Lettuce.
Some lettuce, if you go to a joint that has lettuce, or tomatoes. Yep. And some of the pictures, if you can think of that top arch, had little specks of light coming off of that arch. Any ideas? Sesame seeds. If you go to a place that has sesame seeds, so they're ever endeavoring to share their light and energy with the world. So it's really fun to think about what we're consuming, if that's going to add to a positive vibration in our body or a low, dull vibration. And that directly contributes and correlates with our health. And bacteria and germs and depression and anxiety all are low vibrational energy. So we'll talk a little more about that. But I just want to show you this picture with the parallel with our human body. You can see a light and an energy coming off of those hands. And we really are what we eat, and we are what we think. They're very much correlated. And so we love to teach a whole healing approach where we're not just looking at one modality, but we're looking at all the resources we have available to us. So you can pass that around. And we're looking, Martha mentioned some of them, with exercise and time for thoughts and meditation. And of course, looking at the food that we're eating and our water, our deep breathing. The oxygen needs to get to all the cells in our body, and taking care of our nervous system. So the first thing that we want to make sure is running smoothly is our pineal gland, running from the top of our brain down through our nervous system, which then attaches to all the appendages in our body. And we want to make sure that's free and clear and running smoothly. If we feel pain or there's a feedback saying, oh, there's something clogged, it's not necessarily something we want to just shut off. We want to listen to that message. Why is this happening? Let's find out and get to the root cause and make sure we're eating foods and thinking thoughts that is going to help that run clear and free flowing. So we don't have to have pain. We don't have to shut it up with a medication or something that will quiet the message, but listen to the message and find out what is it, what's out of balance, what do we need to nourish, what do we need to cleanse. And so thinking about these pictures is a great way to start off this class to realize what we're consuming is going to affect us physically. And I'll just leave you with one short tip before I send this off to our next speaker. So this sounds so simple, and it really is simple when we get back to the basics, but years ago my husband and I were lamenting how our kids were eating so much ice cream and soda. Goodness, they don't stop, they just keep eating it, and every time we buy it, it's gone just like that. Oh wait, every time we buy it, why are we buying it? So it seems so simple, but if we just take the thought in advance before we go shopping, and it's best if we do have a list written so we're not so tempted to snag these other items. But just my tip is to be mindful what you're purchasing, what you're putting in your shopping cart, because what you buy, you're gonna eat, right? Your family's gonna eat it, the kids, the grandkids, the visitors are gonna snack on that. So if we can be more mindful, and next time we go, maybe we'll see a sale on Cheetos or Doritos, 2 for $5, and instead maybe we can choose to get 2 bags of baby carrots, 2 for $5, just to be mindful of the purchases that we're making, because that's what we'll see in our cupboard, and when we're in a hurry and we're starving, we're going to snag that and eat it. So it'll help us to make better decisions if we stock our cupboards and our fridges with good food choices. All right, I hope that that's a helpful tip for you to take home and start with your family. Before I send time over to Cynthia, I just wanted to share how amazing it can be when we do focus on our food and our gut. And just a few months ago, I was able to work with a mother and daughter team. And the mother she's in her more experienced years, I want to say, and her daughter was more my age, in her 40s. And she had been experiencing vertigo constantly, 5 out of 7 days, and then it would turn into a migraine, and she was debilitated for a couple days. And she's trying to be a mother to children, right? So just in a few weeks' time, she would check in with me, and all she was doing at this point was changing her diet and working on her emotions. And within 4 weeks, she said, oh my goodness, I only had 1 episode of vertigo this week, and it didn't even go to migraine. It stopped it. So her body started balancing out just by being mindful of those 2 important basic steps of what we're consuming in our emotions and consuming in our food. So really a good example that we can all improve in some way wherever we're at. All right, so we're going to turn the time over to Cynthia. We're really honored to have Cynthia. She's the owner and founder of this Spirit, Mind, Body, Whole Healing program. She's a raw foodist. She demos on TV. She teaches classes in Hawaii. She's a health coach mentor, all from a whole healing approach, and herbalist, and working toward her doctorate in, I'm going to say around natural medicine. What a privilege to be able to teach together. And she's my sister, so I'm so lucky. So let's go ahead and give Cynthia our attention so she can help correlate our physical and emotional health.
That's way too nice to me. Well, I am so honored to be here. This is my favorite thing. I've been studying studying and teaching for almost 20 years, and I never get sick of it. I get more and more passionate about it, and the more I get to share it with other people and see that light turn on in other people's eyes, like you've seen with Martha, it just motivates me more. And it really, to me, this, I know without a doubt, this is part of my life purpose, a big part of my life purpose. It's being a mother and a wife, and then teaching this light and knowledge. And so I'm going to share just a little bit of my story. I know some of you in here have heard it. So what I learned early on is that our emotions and our physical body is so intricately connected, and that what's going on with me emotionally is affecting me physically, and what's happening with me physically is affecting me emotionally. But before that, I had no idea that there was any correlation. So I'm a very, very sensitive person. I've learned how to manage that and not just be a leaf blowing around in the wind. But before that, it was easy for me to get upset easy, and I was a worrier. And on top of that, I chose to eat really bad. I ate just whatever I wanted. I never gained a pound. Therefore, that means I can eat what I want, right? And that's what I thought in my mind, not even really thinking about that this food is affecting my physical body. And so before I go on to share my story, I just want to show you or bring your attention to this picture. So this is one cell, right? We have billions of cells in our body. Billions of these. And billions of our cells die every day because they've been used and it's worn. It's just part of the natural process of our body. And then every day our body needs to rebuild billions of cells. So I want to go back to what Christine was talking about, that what we're eating, what we're thinking matters. It's actually very, very vital in what's going on with the processes in our body. So whatever we're eating and thinking is what our cells are made of. So if we're upset a lot or really stressed all the time or sad all the time or angry or just those heavy emotions, then the vibration of that, because remember we showed you these hands, but there's a real vibration going on in our body with our thoughts and our food. So our thoughts, this was new for me when I learned this a long time ago, was that our thoughts have a real physical vibration. And there's so much more going on that our eyes can't see than there even is that our eyes can see. There's so much more going on that our eyes can't see. So just because we can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. So just like if everybody do this and feel that wind on your cheek, right? Would you ever say there's nothing there because I can't see it? We all felt it, like we know it's there, right? And so our emotions are the same thing. There's a real vibration with what we're feeling, and sometimes it can even be just stress that is passed on from family. And have you ever heard of a family that has heart disease and it's just in every generation, or depression, or their family just has anger issues? It can be passed on, just like a physical trait. So we need to recognize that physical and emotional and spiritual, it's all interconnected. And so, knowing that we are what we eat and we are what we think, we're going to give you some tips on how you can make simple, new, healthy changes. It's not anything overnight, right, Martha? You have to change everything overnight. It's just one step at a time. And the more you change, the more you can, okay, now I'm ready to take on even more. So it's important to leave here knowing I don't have to change everything overnight. My personality is very all or nothing, and so I had to learn the hard way. I will fail if I try and be perfect. And so our first tip is don't try and be perfect. You don't have to be. It's okay. But it's important, like, look at this and just take a picture, a snapshot with your mind, and look at the details of this one cell. Like, it is mind-blowing. I don't know if you can see it with the reflection. Can you guys see it? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, all the details, and you think of the chemical exchange going on, and all the parts of one cell that you couldn't even see this with the naked eye, right? And there's billions of them. That's what makes up our body. And so whatever we're doing is affecting how our body functions, how we feel emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So that's really important. So after I got married, this was not my plan. I wanted to get married when I was like 25 and go have some adventures, and I met my husband on a blind date, and I knew that night I was going to marry him, and I was only 19. And we got married when I was 19, and we've been married 20 years. I wouldn't change anything. But, so I was young, had my first baby. We were going to wait to have kids. I found out I was pregnant when we were 3 months married, and I got really sick. I got very, very sick, actually. I remember my mom going to some doctor's appointments with me. They were testing me for cancer, and they were testing me for thyroid disease, and they were testing me for all these scary, chronic, awful sounding issues. And I really thought that I might die, especially because cancer is in our family. My mom's youngest brother passed away from cancer. Her oldest sister had passed away from cancer at that time, and now she's had 2 more loved ones pass away from cancer right in her direct family. And so I was always afraid that was going to happen to me. So the good news is they didn't find anything. It was frustrating to me because I wanted answers, and I was really sick. I had a hard time even functioning and taking care of my baby. And when I got home, it's still working. Anyway, you should text her and tell her. So I just felt like this urgency to find that there was something for me to discover. And it's hard to even put words to, because I never in my life had felt drawn to learning or discovering, or it's hard to put into words, but I knew there was something for me. There was something for me to learn. So I prayed and asked for help. I just said, what is it? What do I need to do? And the feeling came, your body's capable of healing, and I will help you. And from then, right from that moment, I had people show up and books show up, and just answers come to my mind and my heart that led me to simple steps. And the first thing that I started with was food. I started learning about food, and for the first time in my life, I was really excited because I had suffered with some very debilitating depression throughout my teenage years, and I think just from having such a sensitive heart and trying to figure out, we all have to figure out life and figure things out. For me, even though I was choosing to be happy, it was hard work. I would wake up in the morning and think, I gotta make it through this day. I never remembered waking up thinking, I'm so excited to be alive, and that's how it should be. Not that life is going to be perfect, but it was some heart-wrenching emotional pain, and a lot of times I just thought I would rather die. I really would. I would rather, it's just, life is hard. I don't really want to be here, and I think a lot of people, through the 20 years I've been doing this, a lot of people feel that way, and it's important to talk open about it. So I started getting really excited about food, and I realized that what's in our food matters. And if the more live food you eat, we don't have to eat perfect, but the more you put into your body, what do you think is going to happen to your body?
A lot more energy.
A lot more energy, and you're going to have this light. So a story much like Martha, where I worked with a woman, her name's Wendy, and she's actually a certified coach of mine, and her and her husband have been teaching for years now. She was able to release 75 pounds. She's kept it off for, I think, 6 or 7 years now. And she was on $300 worth of medication. She had had a stroke when she was like 33. And so before we started working together, she had released about 30 pounds, and she was working really hard, and she was feeling pretty good about it. Nobody said anything. She's like, not that I needed people to say anything, but I kind of did need somebody to notice, And once we started working together, she had released 5 pounds, and everybody's like, what are you doing? You look amazing. You look different. You just look so good. And it took her a few months to finally, she had this aha. She's like, I know why people are noticing. It's because I'm full of light now. She was not just like cutting back on calories. It wasn't a diet. It was like a lifestyle. She was choosing to put good food in her body, and she was learning how to meditate and to exercise and to drink water and sit out in the sun and to address her emotions. And so I'm going to give you a tip, and then we get to turn the time over to our beautiful mom who is going to share. Okay, let me go back to what I was going to say. I have a lot of tips I want to give you, but I can't give them all. I wish we had more time. Okay, so we only need to make a few changes at a time. We don't have to change everything overnight. Wendy, this woman that I was telling about, she was able to get off all of her medication. She was able to recover from bursitis that was so painful in her hip she could hardly move. She had debilitating migraines several times a week, and her carotid artery was 60% blocked. She had several other things. Her hormones were totally out of control. She's like, I really was a crazy lady. And her husband actually had their divorce papers filled out, and she was contemplating on taking her own life. And I didn't find that out until a few years after we'd been working together. Now she's just like this vibrant, amazing, happy, bubbly. She's like this tall and just like bouncy, cute, happy. Yeah, and she's like, I never could imagine that I could be happy. I didn't think there was any hope. And now she's sharing hope with other people. And so knowing that it can just be some simple things, getting educated is really important, because when you have knowledge, knowledge is power. And the more you know, it makes it easy to make those decisions. And at first you have to use some willpower to apply the knowledge and make these choices, but as you feel good, that becomes your motivation. There's nothing that can compare to feeling really good. So the greatest gift that happened with me changing my food is, and here, this is where I'll share my tip. I had been congested here for a long time and almost just felt normal, you know. I did not have regular bowel movements, and this is like TMI for most people, but for me this is the first thing I talk about, because what happens when you get your bowel moving is it cleans out your lymph system and your bloodstream, and it cleans out your organs, and it cleans out your sinuses and your eyes and your ears and your thyroid and everything, and so everything's able to clean out. So if you're congested here, you're going to be congested everywhere. And what does that cause? What was the main thing that was plaguing you?
I just felt like I had a light come on. You know, it just felt like, you know, a lot of weight had been lifted, and it just felt good.
So you released that heavy weight.
Yeah, that heavy weight was gone.
So when you're carrying that heavy weight, it's causing inflammation and congestion, and every cell, literally every cell will be sluggish because it's congested. So when you cleanse out, but it's not just a physical cleansing. So as I got my bowel moving, it was only a few months into making these changes with my food. Not perfect, just small changes, a little bit at a time. But I remember having this defining moment where I walked into the living room where my little girl was playing on the floor. She's almost 20 now. So crazy. It was so long ago, but it feels like I'm 20. Anyway, but I'm not. I'm 40. She was sitting on the floor playing, and I had this most amazing experience where all of a sudden this cloud that I had had my whole life lifted. And it's like I had blinders on that were taken off. And I was able to see the world the way it actually really is, the way our Father in heaven created it to be, for us to have joy. It's not going to be without stress and trial, right, and learning, but I was able to see that everything's okay, and I'm actually okay. Like, I'm capable. Like, if something happens, it's okay. And so instead of panic mode over a little thing or a big thing, I mean, I would worry about the mole that I found, or I worried about whether I should go drive to the store that day, because what if I get in a car accident, or if my husband is an hour late, he must have died. Like, I worried about everything. My daughter cried, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, you know. And now it was like, everything's okay. And the peace that I felt is, there's no words. There is absolutely no words. And I would do anything for that peace. That's why I'm very proactive to never get back in that place of emotional pain. And so it's not just about the physical health, which is an awesome side effect, to feel healthy and vibrant and to have energy. So what I would invite you to do, and this is what we teach in our program in detail, but it's really important to release emotionally too. And most people don't realize the stress, what stress does to your body. It hurts your immune system. It's very heavy on your physical heart. It puts stress on your thyroid, and that throws your hormones off and your emotions off, and you're sleeping, and if you don't sleep, you can't recover well physically, and you wake up tired emotionally and physically. And so stress and worry and unforgiveness or anger or sadness or just being too stressed out or too busy. Even if we're happy, but we're just go, 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 we never have that time to be still and to really think about, well, what am I feeling? So I work with all ages, but even adults, when we start talking about, okay, well, what are you feeling during this moment? Or what are some of the stressful things in your life? They have a hard time putting to words what's actually going on. They can feel it, but when you have to write it down or say it out loud, it can be hard to articulate. So what is so healing is to organize our thoughts. And the way you organize your thoughts is to write it down or to say it out loud. Or even in your mind where you say, right now I am feeling this. And so once you identify it and acknowledge it, the power is in your hands and you get to manage how you feel instead of it controlling you. And why does this matter? This is the foundation of what we teach, because if you can manage your emotions, it's easier to manage your food, it's easier to get yourself out to exercise, then everything else falls into place. And so all the other things we've talked about is just support to our whole healing. But the main support is to be emotionally well, right? So I'm sure you can apply this in your own life, or you have someone you know that could use this tool to know how. So I just want to teach you really quick something that is vital that we teach. So first step is to acknowledge what you're feeling. What am I feeling? And sometimes it's hard to know. At first I used to just say, as I prayed, honestly, I was guided just here from above. These questions, you need to know what you're feeling. And I would say, I don't know. I did not know how to do it. It was such a weakness of mine. And I'm grateful that now it's a strength and I can help people, and it's very simple. So you just keep asking yourself and waiting. It's not that you can't get the answer. It's not that it isn't going to come. It's just like anytime you pray and wait for an answer, right? It's possible. And so it can be easier to have a pen and a paper and you write down, I am feeling, and you just wait. And just start writing some things down. There's no right or wrong answer. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling ashamed. I'm feeling lazy. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling unsupported. I'm feeling whatever the emotion is.
Martha has pads of paper, and I also have a handout, whichever one you want to use.
Am I going into what you were going to say?
No, this
is
Perfect.
Okay, so write down the first most important thing is to acknowledge and identify what it is that you're feeling. Once you identify it, then you get to do something with it. So you might need to forgive someone, or you might need to write more details about that. Maybe there's a situation in your life that's really frustrating. So just write a page of exactly what it is that you're frustrated about. Because usually emotions will let go and leave and say, okay, we can move on now once it's been identified. So identify it and then write down all the details about it so that you can just, and don't judge yourself. It's just knowledge. Knowledge is power. So whether you think you should feel that way or not, you still feel that way. So if you're going to beat yourself up over it, then this isn't going to help you. So just say, this is how I'm feeling. For whatever reason, this is how I'm feeling. Whether I want to or not, this is how I feel. And let yourself just feel it, because we're just humans experiencing life. And so I'm feeling, and sometimes for me and my kids, I have 3 boys, 2 teenagers, and then the youngest one is 10. And I love them home in the summer. I would never say, I hate summer because I don't want them home. But it's really hard for me with them. And
These are new tips, so you might need to take it off.
they're new
I
pins.
just got them off.
Oh, that's why.
There's a little plastic thing at the end.
Yes.
None of the pins are working.
Sorry about that. It's a new
So sometimes I'll have a lot of anger that I'd feel bad saying out loud, like, I'm so mad at my kids, I could kick them. And who wants to say that? Like, what a horrible mom. Well, no, the truth is, I'm not going to kick them, but I want to because I'm so mad at them right now. And so I'm just going to let myself say it. I'm not going to. Well, I mean, I might, but hopefully not.
If I don't write it down, I might.
I don't write it down. So I'm so mad at them right now. Like, I feel like I'm a bad mom. I feel like I've spoiled them. I feel like they're not. And they're really great kids, so don't get me wrong.
They're
but,
normal.
but in any situation, it's really important that even if you're like, oh my gosh, why are swear words coming out of my mouth? Like, not that I'm telling you to write down swear words, but just write down what you're really feeling and don't be ashamed of it. We're all human, and you're probably a really great person that chooses to be happy, but you need to address it or you will suppress it. You will suppress it if you don't address
Do
it.
you want them to write one down right now?
Should we do it?
Or write your notes for the tips for the class?
Yeah, maybe if we have time, or I'll give them an invitation to do it when they get home. So the first tip, who remembers what the first tip is? The most important thing.
Acknowledge.
You already know.
You're cheating.
You don't have to change everything.
It's not acknowledged.
You don't have to change everything at once. Yes,
I
that
love
is
that.
so important, one step at a time. And as you're processing your emotions, the very first step is what? Not you two. And not Martha, because she knows. What's the most important thing when you're needing to process an emotion? Or, yeah, identify it, write it down. You need to know what it is. A lot of times we think we know, but when you go to say it or write it down, you're like, oh, I don't really know. And so when we can write it down or say it out loud or in our mind, then that gets the power into our hands because we're saying, I know exactly what I'm feeling. Now I'm going to choose what I'm going to do with it. And so you get to decide. Maybe you need to forgive someone. Just say, you know what, I'm choosing to forgive them, and I'm choosing to let it go. And you might need to do that. You know, you can't just always forgive someone that fast, but just work on it. Keep working on it, and it will happen. Or maybe you just need to write down more about the situation, like this is why I'm angry, or these are the details of what happened, or this is why I'm disappointed. And so write the details of it or forgive someone. And we do have some free videos that we can send you that take you in these steps. So you can watch it and take more notes. And then the last one is to choose what you want to feel. Because we all have free agency. We all have the ability to choose. And sometimes we feel like we are bound and we can't choose. That's how I felt for a long time. Like, I know I can choose, but I can't really choose because I'm too stuck in this emotion. But if you write it down and you process it that way, now you can say, okay, I've identified it. I'm going to choose peace. I'm going to choose love, patience, courage, support, whatever it is that you want. And sometimes you have to say that as an affirmation over and over again. Like my boys, like, I choose peace, I choose patience. And then that starts happening because our words have real power and frequency. It's a real frequency. Scientists know now, nowadays we know that there's this real frequency and real power with our intentions. And so those 3 steps, identify, either forgive or get all the details out, and then choose how you want to feel. And if you can pass this on to your kids or your grandkids or somebody that's sharing a hard time in their life, and you can teach them those 3 steps, you'll give them a lot of power. It's a great gift, and it's something that completely changed my life. So I've been able to pass that on to my children, and they're able to have those tools to know what to do. And I'm so grateful. But I do want to give you one piece of really good news. And the good news is that healthy food can taste really delicious. And so we do have some things to taste today, right?
We forgot your little smoothies.
So we'll pass out the smoothies now. And we just want you to know that you can eat really, really good and be really satisfied and happy. And it doesn't have to taste yucky to be healthy. And you don't have to be deprived to be healthy. Oh yeah, so I did put together a recipe book through the years, and it's available here. And the main section is treats, because I love treats, and you should never go without. To get healthy, you don't have to go without. You just need to find something that can replace the food that wasn't a support. And so if you're interested, we have these available.
This is a blueberry green smoothie.
Yes, the green.
So
Spinach.
spinach. So what's in it? Spinach, blueberries, ice, honey.
Martha, what else did you put in it?
Is there
The
bananas?
strawberries.
Strawberries,
Bananas.
bananas.
Honey. Raw honey.
And is it water as base or almond milk or
It's just a little water.
some water? So it can be really simple and taste really good. And it can be a snack or a meal replacement or with your meal or whatever you want. So
Anyone want another
it's
one?
awesome. So thank you for letting me share. This has absolutely changed my life and brought so much love and peace and power for myself. And I feel so blessed that I get to share this light and knowledge with people all over the country. We get to watch people's lives change and see that light turn on within them, and then they in turn go and share it with others. And so we're all hoping that you can take something away tonight, and remember, it's just one step at a time. And so, do I invite, is Mom next, or are you?
Yeah, and if you want to share an oil first, and
Oh,
let everybody
yes.
try that out, and then
Okay.
choose Mom.
What I actually wanted to share, what did I set them right here? So we love all things that come from the earth. We know that there's power in it, there's light in it, and they're safe if you're using the plants that grow on the earth in their natural state. And so one thing that I've loved for since the beginning, something that I found early on, was essential oils. And just the other day, with back to my boys, I'm going to have to show you a picture so you can see how cute they are. And they're so amazing.
They're
They're
awesome.
handsome.
They're awesome.
Yeah, it's probably just me trying to learn how to be a mom. But I just had this feeling, this thought to come into my mind to try this combination. I never would have put this together. Geranium, I don't really like the smell. Grapefruit, I really like, and lavender, I love. So this combination, I honestly just felt this lift, and I'm like, I'm an awesome mom, and I'm okay, and I'm happy, and it just was like this huge emotional shift. And there is this high vibrating frequency, like you see the light here, and these oils, because it comes from the plants and it's in their natural state. So I'm going to let you try it. If you don't want, you can just pass it on. But it's these 3 bottles. I'm going to leave the lids up here so you guys don't have to worry about the lids. So I'm just going to show you. Watch carefully. This is really important. You don't want to get too much geranium. So the lavender is so calming, and I think it calms my masculine side, because I can just be like drill sergeant if I'm not careful. Like, I gotta take the reins and make some things happen because nobody else is doing it. And so just rub it in your hand, and you can get as much of that as you want. And this is diluted in fraction coconut. The rest are concentrated, so you have to be careful. Grapefruit, I do a drop. And then the geranium, I just put my finger on top and just get a little. You don't want a whole drop of that, unless you like how it smells. I mean, it's not going to hurt you. And then just rub your hands together, and I hope you all like it. If it smells weird to you, just let the energy of it lift you. And so you can rub it on the back of your neck. You can just put your hands over your nose and smell it. And when you breathe in through your nose, it goes right to your olfactory, which it will circulate through your whole body to every cell in your body. And it just is calming, and it's a real physical change. So I'll pass that around, and then, so I'm going to invite my mom up. You all know her, right? Is there anyone here that doesn't? Okay. So she has been so awesome in all of her daughter's craziness. And she just like loves everything that we learn, and she just embraces it, and she's like, why didn't we know this so many years ago? Like, Mom, it doesn't matter. We're supposed to discover it and learn together. And she's awesome. And so she's going to tell you some of the amazing effects and blessings that have come to her through some of these natural remedies.
Some of you might have already heard some of my stories, but I just wanted to relate 2 things. We were doing live.
Yep.
One thing, when Cynthia started her story about her husband, about how she was. Well, her husband went on a mission. He got really sick. He went into the Virgin Islands, right, Cynthia?
West Indies.
West Indies, okay. And he got really sick. We had a missionary whose mom was teaching this, and he says, just listen to me. Let me help you. And so Scott did. And that's why he got better on his mission, because he really was really sick. Anyway, so when he got home, and when they met and they got married, he says, I'd like you to learn how to cook healthy. And she goes, oh. And this was in the process of when she was doing it, and then now it's like, he says, oh, where did I start? Where did I start that?
Fast forward.
And he loves it. He loves it. You know, he's not 100% like she is, but he loves it.
We've learned to meet in the middle.
Right.
Honor each other.
Anyway, and so I just had to tell that little story. That was just kind of funny, I thought. Anyway, so ever since I was born, I've had a problem with my knee. And it's been a problem, and the doctors would tell me, when you get older, you will be in a wheelchair, or back then they didn't know about knee replacements, and they didn't know about some of the things where you'll have to have surgery, you know. And I have had surgery, but this last little while, I couldn't even walk. I'd get up at work, and I'd have to hold on, and just, you know, and you're in front of everybody, and they're watching you, and you're trying to be tough, you know, and I'm in pain. And that went on for a long time, and it got worse and worse, and so I went to the doctor. My girls have been teaching me this, and I've been doing things. I, you know, released about 30 pounds, you know, and anyway, so finally the doctor said, you're going to have a knee replacement. And because my knee is different, it would have to be special made. It would be thousands of dollars, and I didn't have that. And so when I come home and I was so distressed, I started doing injections in my knee, which would last maybe a month. I was kind of pain-free, but I couldn't do it for another 5 months because I couldn't do it every 6 months. Anyway, so and when I told my daughter, they says, Mom, both of them, you know what to do. And so I did, 100%. I started really changing the way I ate and what I did, but also they told me about Dr. Christopher's. It's bone and joint and tissue.
Yeah, herb supplement.
Herb supplement, right, and that's where they've got their degrees, is from Dr. Christopher. Anyway, so I did that 100%, and I've been pain-free for about 3 years now. No injections, and I won't have to have a knee replacement. And yeah, and so I was taking like 7 or 8 every 6 hours until the pain was gone. And now I just do 2, sometimes 4 a day. If I feel a little something going down the stairs with the other knee, then I maybe double up for a little while. But I've been pain-free, so that to me is really awesome. I don't know.
Tell me about your back, though.
Oh yeah, there was some side effects though. I woke up and didn't have back pain anymore. And ever since Catherine, my youngest, was born, she's 36 now, 35. So anyway,
36.
I was not able to sleep on my stomach ever since the day, I tried after she was, of course when you're pregnant you can't. But after she was born I tried, and my back was too bad, so I was never able to do that. And I can now sleep on my stomach again. And I had bursitis so bad at night that I couldn't even lay on my side, and that is gone. So I got really awesome side effects from that. What other story? I've had many. When I had my TN, they really helped me with a lot of the herbs.
What's TN?
My trigeminal neuralgia that I had in my face, remember, a little while ago, and I ended up having to have brain surgery, but they helped me through it. They nursed me through it, and with the essential oils helped me to bear it until I could have the surgery, and then it helped me heal. And I am doing some things to help prevent, because they say once you have it you could get it again, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm also doing some Dr. Christopher Herb Nerve formula, and then I use lavender and lots of stuff to help me calm. She must be like her mom. She's the calm one, but her 10 kids can make her rattle. No, I've seen her too. So.
She's
We're all
the calm.
I just want to say one thing too. When I really started changing my eating habits, I grew up no caffeine, and after I got married, no caffeine. But during the years, a little bit, I started drinking some caffeine.
She started becoming a drinker.
Anyway, at work, sometimes I'd be so tired, I would go down to a little store that they had and buy me a Pepsi, and it would boost me. And then after I started on this, I realized that I was getting my natural boost. I wasn't tired, I didn't have to go buy that, I got off caffeine, and just by eating correctly and listening and doing her recipes, I had my natural boost. I wasn't tired, I was awake, and it was like, wow, this is really nice. So anyway, I truly love their program. They both have helped so many people. There's so many stories that they're not able to tell because of time. That's just, is that all? Is that good? Okay. Here's a little gift. You can choose wild orange or lemon, little essential oil to take home.
And I'll share a story about those citrus oils and how you can use them in your home and how they've helped our family. And here is a little sign-up sheet that we like to give you a free recipe and a free link to a class you can listen to at home and share with a spouse or someone who wants to know what were you learning in that class. So if you'd like to receive that, you can put your name and email.
Do you sell the oils?
Yes, it comes with our program. So I'll give you some options.
I use the oils, and I'm looking for a new person to buy them because they do work.
They're so wonderful. So I have so many stories, but one that came to mind, because we're sharing with you a lemon and an orange. You can choose which one. So they're in that citrus family. And I had a little a boy who was coming out with warts all over his skin, all over his body. He just had a couple, and usually would just put cinnamon oil, and that would take care of it within a few weeks. But in this situation, he had some underlying issues. So I already took care of his diet. I was making sure we took care of the typical triggers with dairy products. They're usually mucus forming, so we made sure we weren't doing that. We made sure we were giving him a lot of greens, alkalinizing his blood. But then they were popping up more and more and more, and he had over 30 all over his body, and the kids at school were starting to notice and were teasing him, and people were saying, oh, you need to go get those burned off. I was not going to burn over 30 spots on his body. We had experiences in our home where it was very painful. It grew back 3 times, and it was really expensive. It was traumatizing. So one of the manuals that I really love is this book, Feelings Buried Alive, Never Die. And this has a handy lookup by situation or disease in the back, and common emotions that are underlying for that. So I looked up warts, and I just talked with him. He's just a young boy, under age 10, and each night I would go sit with him for a few minutes in his room before we did nighttime prayers, and we'd kind of identify, do you think that this is anything bothering you? And he was able to say this and this and this. So we went through those emotions and decided to change his perception, because it was real to him. He really felt that way, even though we couldn't understand, why are you feeling that way? It was real to him. So we worked on those and chose, I choose this. I'm going to believe this, I'm going to live this, I'm going to think this. And we did that 3 nights in a row. Only 3 nights, okay? So he had the homework to keep working on that, and then we used citrus oils, and we would diffuse them while we were talking. We just have them going in the air in the home, so you don't even have to put them on. If you use it through your olfactory organ, it goes in here in 1 minute, systemic in your whole blood stream. And so it was a really simple way to incorporate that, and within 1 week, all of his warts melted away. There was no scabbing over, there was no burning, there was no cutting, no traumatizing, and his body was able to take care of them. So it was interesting how it would not resolve until we addressed the emotions. And this has happened in so many situations over and over and over. We really need to look at all of the underlying factors to resolve a situation. So I hope that you love your gift. You can easily add it to a glass of water. Just turn it over and tap it and give yourself a couple drops, and it's really good for your liver. You're going to gently detox yourself. And, we talk about emotions. Your liver is physically handling a lot of your food breakdown before it can go back in your bloodstream and give you the nourishment it needs. And it's also trying to break down our freaking hormones and our emotions that have real energy to it, and it gets stuck in our liver. So if we can give our liver some love and put that lemon or orange in there, it'll gently cleanse you. So let me give you a handout, and I'll let you know that there are many ways that you can keep on learning. I hope that you'll use, of course, information in this class. I'll give 3 to each row here. And then let me give you some options that you can even continue. We've got free courses, and Cynthia is generous enough to share an entire course for her anti-suicide initiative. And so if you know someone who has anxiety or depression, or it's you, or you want to bring that into your home, contact us. And when we send out the email, you can reply to us and let us know, I'm interested in your free series, if you'd like to share that with someone. It's really important to us to spread hope and options to people. And we want them to enjoy life and get the most out of their time here on this earth. So this is a great handout that just lets us know what our situation is with healthcare. We are spending now, this fact is even higher, $6.5 trillion being spent on global healthcare every year, according to the World Health Organization. That data is a few years old now. And yet we're having a lot of cancer and a lot more health problems that are not being resolved, but it's very, very expensive. So there's a disconnect there. We've got to find options. And the top right, it has some concerning facts. The bottom one is the one that really hits my heart. The truth is that preschool age children are the fastest growing age group being prescribed antidepressants. We need to spread the news. We need to spread the hope. There are options. There are ways to handle this in our very own home. This is something that is near and dear to me, and we've been to too many funerals for suicides, 5 in my own personal close family and friends. So this information is life-changing, and we're very passionate about sharing it. So if you know someone that's affected, please get in touch with us, and we'll share whatever we can. We love the natural solutions options because it's effective and it's cheaper. You can see down, especially essential oils, we're incorporating that. So we include that with our whole healing program because they're so effective. They're safe, and this gives you some awesome facts about how they're even more potent than a tea. So 1 drop of a peppermint is like a cup of herbal tea. It's really, really potent.
1 drop equals 30 cups
Oh,
of
1
peppermint
cup.
tea.
1 drop is like 30 cups of peppermint tea. Super, super powerful. I still grow peppermint in my yard, and I dehydrate it, and I use it in the winter because there's nothing like peppermint tea, you know, when you grow it. But in an emergency, we need to be able to have viable options stored with long shelf life that are effective and really potent. So we love to incorporate these. And then look at that cell. You know, we were looking at a cell right here that these essential oils can penetrate the cell wall. So if there's something that's viral, an antibiotic can't touch it. So it's very important to have these that will help us in a crisis with germs, or if there's some kind of a contamination of a water supply. Emergency preparedness is huge to me. And then here, this man is suffering with a stomach upset, and it costs him 36 cents to rub that on his belly, and maybe someone kind in his family would give him a foot rub and help rub that on out, and you can get relief in just a few minutes. So we have Digestin for the first person who is here today. Who is the first one? Becky. Becky traveled so far. She came from Norman.
Whoa.
So Digestin is wonderful. I think every emergency kit should have that in it to just put a few drops on your belly, even on the bottoms of your feet. And I have story after story with people double over in dangerous situations, which we found out after. We didn't know what was the cause, but just to start rubbing that foot and put on essential oil helps to move that infection and inflammation on through. So there's lots of really life-saving tips that we can learn. It's just too much all today. I hope we haven't overwhelmed you, but I hope you'll write on your notepad to remember to be mindful of at your next shopping experience that we talked about at the beginning, to be careful what you're purchasing because you're going to eat it, and then to make a goal to learn more about your emergency kit and to slowly build that so you won't have regret, and to get the education you need so that once there's a crisis, you are someone that can jump in and help, and how much joy will be spreading and how grateful we will be for investing in our future now. Okay, so I need to grab one of my handouts. Oh, here's one. Let's flip that inside. And these are some of the great common oils, and we talk about them. If you want to learn more about one, and circle it, and we'll give you some time where we're taste testing some yummy treats. And if you have 3 of your most important health goals written, you can go to the very back page inside and write down your top 3 health goals, so that you can ask questions while you're here. Take advantage of our education and experience. Just write down here what your goals are, and then, like I said, if you have any questions about oils or things you might be interested in, then circle that. So those are 2 areas you can get help with. And then I'll give you some options really quick before we taste test. You can see there's a lot of options of oils, and there's a retail column and a wholesale. So we like to include a wholesale account with our education. So if you decide you want to bring this in your home or online now, we did that a few years ago because we couldn't spread ourselves out so thin with one-on-ones anymore. So let me just give you a handout to explain that. We love to include a wholesale account so that you can order anytime. You can slowly build your preparedness. You can get prepared quick, just depending on what's right for your budget and your family. So if you want to share one of those, thank you. So it's wonderful with the essential oil company that we have partners with is called doTERRA, and we love what they're doing for third world countries. We love how they're helping families give sustainable income and not hurting the environment, and they're helping train all these different countries how to distill. And we love the charity that they give in helping women who have been abused or ostracized because they menstruate and they refuse to let them participate in education or jobs. So we love the foundation and what they do to go in and educate, teach sanitary conditions, and give them essential oils and teach them how to use them. And it's just a wonderful partnership. So doTERRA, and I'm going to use one of my handouts, sorry. I'm scared. Thank you. We include one of their wholesale accounts with you, and you can order whatever you need. And you just have to order one thing a month, one thing a year to keep your account active, just one time. So that's pretty easy. And so as far as education, your handout shows you that this whole healing program is a $1,400 whole healing program. And when we teach a class, I give you an option, so you can cross that out with your pen. And we have a $497 option tonight, $497, and that will include one of these awesome doTERRA kits that's $150, and it gives you the access to the education for 4 months in your home, and so you're getting preparedness items and learning how to use them. So we teach you how to practice and how to use them in your home. And our favorite one is this 2-for-1 option. Some families, it's hard to come up with that right up front, and it's a little easier to spread that out over the year. And so the 2-for-1 is great because there's that doTERRA kit, and then if you just set up any monthly order that's right for you, if your family really uses peppermint or you love that smell of lavender and it's going to help your emotions, you can just choose that, what's right for your family, and that will give you the wholesale prices and access to this awesome program for your whole household. So it's online, people can log in from their phone, you can do it on a work break or someone early in the morning or someone late at night, whatever works for your family, so it's really flexible that way. And then we have options with food storage if you already have doTERRA. And we're looking for certifying more health coaches because the word is spreading coast to coast, and some are in Europe now. So if this is speaking to you and you love this information, you want to please let us know and we'll give you more information. And of course, a free travel oil kit. So this is for Martha.
Oh, thank you.
So isn't this wonderful? It hooks on your belt loop, on your backpack. You put it. I have it on my belt loop all the time.
Okay, let me get an oil.
Especially when I go camping. Okay, a few years ago, you can mock me. I had on my purple oil kit, camping, right? And we're cleaned up. We just camped. We were done. We were packed up. And my little 4-year-old went and touched that grill. It looked cleaned up, right? Yeah, it was so horrible.
He's like, that sounds like it hurts.
He didn't know it was still hot, and he fried all over his palm. And we were far out. We didn't have running water. We were out, like camping. So since I had it right there, I unzipped it, pulled out the lavender, poured it on his hand, and we'd keep doing that every 5 minutes. And within an hour, he wasn't crying. And you know those things burn and burn and burn and burn for hours and days. And he would have ruined the whole trip because when a little kid's crying, nobody has fun. So we were just so grateful, and it was amazing because we didn't have ice. We didn't have that cold water. We did run to a creek and stick his hand in for a bit. But I'm just so grateful, and I appreciate the opportunities that have come in my life and the trials that came because I was able to learn from those, and now I can share some hope and stories with you. So I hope that you've gleaned information that is helpful for you tonight. And please jot down your top 3 health concerns. We'll just kind of buzz around. Mom can help you find out more if you have questions about the program, and Cynthia and I will come and answer.
Martha.
And Martha cannot help you to find out how does it run, what do I look for, and so if you'd like to hear more, and then she's going to share treats with us. So thank you for being here.
Where do we find the book?
Which one? This one?
Emotions Buried in.
Oh yes, I get mine online. I go to Amazon, and you can even get a used copy for like
Lots
$5.
of bookstores and Whole Food stores also.
Yeah. It's so worth it. This is my nice copy to show. Good job. You did good.
She's a mom.
Good job. I have several of these at home that are like way bent and used. This is my nice copy to show. You will love it, family. Yeah, it's very real. And feel free, maybe we can even pass these out if you want to look up anything in the back. And this is one of our mandatory readings, Eat to Live by Dr. Joel Furman. China Study. Oh, great information just to empower you and share the good news with your family.
And Dr. Christopher's.
So it's the School of Natural Healing. Dr. Christopher's, are you talking about the education or? The supplements.
Like the formulas.
Yeah, so it's Dr. Christopher's Complete Bone and Tissue that we talked about tonight, and the Nerve Formula.
And we put together a personalized nutrition guide for you. So if you are seeking answers and you want to move forward with health, we totally recommend specifics on diet, juicing, emotions, and supplements. So we can help get specific for you.
We're going to give away a free peppermint beadlet. So you'll have to write your name down and we'll do a drawing.
Oh yeah, we have a
And I want
couple
you to
of
try
things.
one. If you have a little tummy ache, or if you're going to go talk to someone and you want to help the breath, or a headache, awesome to have. have. So I'm gonna
Right, I have them here. Yeah, they're 20.
Okay, I made it.
And it will dissolve.
and it will be strong.
Yeah.
Clear the center.
Unless you want to. Peppermint. What do you? It's peppermint oil. Oh. Beadlet.
You take that.
Okay, we're done. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye, everyone.